All right, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Living the Dream podcast. Today on the show, we have Chris Donaldson, who is a property developer, author, and motorcycle adventurer. Chris, how you doing?
How you doing? Good.
I am fantastic. Thanks so much for asking. And we'd like to jump right in. So if you could start with telling us a little bit more about yourself and what you like to do for fun, that'd be great.
Well, I live in Belfast in Northern Ireland, born and bred here. I've lived a few other parts of the world, but seem to always come back to go home to roost. I was born in the 50s and grew up in the 60s and 70s in Belfast, which wasn't the best place to be for a kid going to school in the middle of town. It was pretty infamous with bombs going off and people getting shot around the place. There was a bit of a civil war going on. Though to be fair, it didn't affect us that much because as kids you don't know any better. What you see is all you know. It's only after you get a bit older you realize that the rest of the world doesn't have to be like that. So when I was about 18, I decided to go to Australia, ride a motorbike to Australia. It was my dream as such. Um, Still not sure to this day why I wanted to do it in a motorbike, but I decided to do it in a motorbike.
Yeah.
I didn't get very far left in '79 and got as far as London when the American embassy was taken over by the Ayatollah Khomeini in Tehran. And it's still going on. The aftermath of that's still going on, but basically it stopped me going to Australia. So I ended up driving to South Africa, going through the Middle East, crossing the Sahara, down through Africa, took a yacht race, to join a yacht race back to Europe. Headed over to the States, drove around the States, the motorbike, worked there for a while, and then ended up in South America. It's a very short précis of that. I was when I was about 21. I started writing a book about it, but it was my dream to sort of write a book at that stage. But I gave up because somebody else wrote a book but did something similar. A guy called Ted Simon. It was a very good book, and I thought, well, no point in me doing one now because he's already done one. In my youth, didn't realizing that you can have more than one book about a topic or something as
Yep.
different as that, you know. So I got back into normal life and joined the family furniture shop and developed that into property and worked in Dubai. I've done mobile apps, developed mobile apps, been in fitness, I've done a fairly wide range of jobs across my career. But about 3 years ago, I decided to finish the book and publish it. It's called Going the Wrong Way because obviously I went the wrong way, ended up in Argentina. And I tried to go to Australia and ended up in Argentina. So dyslexic or something. Um, yeah, wrote the book and it's gone very well. It's bestseller some months on Amazon. And one of my mates said, "Well, you never got to Australia. Why not have another go?" So a year and a half ago, just after COVID, we left and decided to ride in stages, 2 weeks at a time, and then park the bikes up and come home because I'm sort of still got a young family and work responsibilities. So I finally got to Australia um, last month, in fact, on the same motorbike, same motorcycle. I had the same, kept the bike that I had in the '70s. So it's now 45 years old.
Yeah.
I'm 64, so we had a combined age of 109.
Mm,
So we're fairly. So we finally got to Australia 43 years after I left Belfast to get the ride there.
wow. That same motorbike, huh?
Same motorbike, yeah. So it was a bit of a. I wanted to. Thought it was only right to do it on the same bike that I left on because I wanted to challenge myself, and the best way to challenge myself in the nearest similarity would be using the same bike, same guy, just all a little bit older.
Have you been keeping up with that bike, like maintaining it, or did you just pull it out the shed after 30 years?
Well, I did take it apart and put it back together again a few times in that period. So yeah, but it's the same engine. The engine's never been touched, funny enough. It's still solid, but there's lots of bits have been replaced and fixed and repaired. It's
I got you.
still it's Moto Guzzi, it's an Italian bike. Um, Not what you would normally recommend to go ride around the world on. In fact, the guys told me 30, 40 years ago that it was the wrong bike to take, but it's still going 40 years later. So I guess I was right.
Yeah, I got you. I got you. And your book was going the wrong way or gone the wrong way?
Going the wrong way, yeah. Um, I actually wanted to write a book about other problems I had in life with professional work. About 12 years ago, my business was taken over by the banks just after the property crash.
Mm,
That's what happened to a lot of people in the States and Europe. Um, the banks decided they wanted to refinance, and they basically stole everybody's businesses if they could get away with it.
yep.
Um, I couldn't afford to get lawyers involved, so I self-litigated against them, and eventually got my properties back again 5 years ago. So really, the essence of it was going to write a book about that first of all, but I thought that's going to be a hard book to write because it's very specialized and not very many people would be interested in it possibly.
Yeah.
So I thought I'll finish the book about riding around the world first of all, to break my teeth in the riding world. I was never very academic at school. I never passed any exams very well. Passed scraped through everything, and my English teachers would be shocked to find out I'd written a book at the end of it, end of the day. So there's a moral to that story: is if I can write a book, anybody can write a book.
Yeah.
You know.
I gotcha. Well, tell us a bit more about your motivation. What really gets you up and keeps you going every day?
Well, basically, one of the things I learned when I was, if you're on a motorbike on your own in third world countries, you basically really are on your own. One of
Yeah.
the reasons I wanted to go away was when you're growing up at school, at home in school, you've always got your parents, your teachers, your friends, family telling you what to do, having an influence on your life, and you never know really whether you're doing something because they want you to do it or because you want to do it yourself. So I wanted to go away on my own and test myself, I suppose, to see who I was myself. But one of the things I learned was to motivate myself and to be determined that if you want to get something, you have to do it yourself. You can't rely on anybody else to do it for you. A lot of people these days expect somebody to come in after them and hold their hand and help them through any problems that they have. Whereas if you're crossing a border, crossing a desert or something, and you're on your own, there's nobody else to help you. You just got to do it yourself. So one of the things I learned from traveling is, I suppose, how to motivate myself and when things get tough to get out and at it and fight your corner.
Yeah. I gotcha. So it was really like all that time you spent alone on the motorbike going across the world, basically, you learn that you're gonna have to motivate yourself because we are pretty isolated in the world when it comes down to it. We got to take responsibility for our own life. Is that right?
I think so. Yeah, I think uh, I think the modern world, the Western world, is very much hand holding. Certainly in Europe, anyway, it's a cradle to grave health service. If you lose your job, you get money. If you get sick, you get looked after. If there's lots of rules and regulations to stop you hurting yourself or to stop anybody else doing anything bad. Um, but at the end of the day, you're on your own. You need to look after yourself. Nobody else is going to do it for you.
Yeah, I gotcha. And so, what do you do now? Is it just like a discipline thing? Like you just get up and you tell yourself what you're going to do and you do it? Or are there's some tricks that you do to yourself to get up and get motivated?
I wish it was as easy as that. I suffer from lack of motivation, same as everybody else. To get up in the morning, you couldn't be bothered doing anything. You want to watch TV, you want to get on Facebook and see what TikTok's doing. It's difficult for me as it is for anybody. But I suppose having the knowledge that I've been able to do things on my own, um, and drive myself to do it. I think a lot of people, if they don't have that confidence, that they sort of think, well, if I do push myself, I'll only just annoy myself because I still won't be able to succeed with what I'm trying to do. So I suppose the difference is I've hopefully got that confidence that I know if I do, I'm writing another book at the minute, and I know if I do a good job of it, if I do complete it and finish it well, it will be a success. Whereas there's always that self doubt in a lot of people, I think.
I got you. Yeah, and you built that up just by kind of putting yourself in those positions and coming out on the other end. Is that right?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, I'm also a stubborn bugger, I suppose, as well. Probably helps a bit.
Yeah,
I don't like giving up. Whether that's a characteristic that you're born with or you learn as you get older, I don't know.
I got you. I got you. Well, awesome, man. Tell us about your dreams and goals. What's your vision for the book, your life, your business?
Well, they're always changing dreams and goals, aren't they? As I say, I've done a number of jobs from fitness to IT to retail to property. Um, a bit of a jack of all trades and a master of none, I guess, compared to a lot of people who stick to one thing right through their lives. But the from writing it, doing the trip 40 years ago, writing a book about it recently. My next goal and dream is to finish the next book, which is the one that I really wanted to write because it's the one that I feel is can sort of bring to light some of the corruption and hypocrisy that goes on in the Western world, from governments down to banks, down to financial institutions, how we're messed about by the guys up in the top. It's probably the bigger picture to tell. So I'd like to be able to tell that in a professional manner that people are going to read rather than institutions. I think they rely on their opponents being um, split up, keep part, amateurish and not being able to focus properly,
Yeah.
and given proper opposition, divide and conquer, whatever way you want to put it. So I'd
Hmm.
like to be able to tell a story the way it should be told.
Yeah,
Um,
I gotcha. So the next book is all about corruption in the West and kind of shining a light on that.
yeah, and also they tying it in with my latest trip from, as I say, from Belfast to Brisbane in Australia last year. Um, it's not quite as exciting. I've learned a lot in the last 40 years, so I didn't make quite as many mistakes as I made when I was 21.
Yeah,
But there's still a bit of a story there, you know.
I gotcha. I gotcha. Okay, so we got finish the next book, and then did you say you're gonna write another book about the trip, or is that also gonna be in this next book?
That'll be all tying. I'll try and tie them together because the journey is a journey of a journey is a life. It's like a journey has a life of its own. You start and finish, and the duration of the journey is what happens during your life. One thing I find about traveling is um, there's two ways of travel, two forms of travel. One form of traveling is when you want to go somewhere. If you're going somewhere on holiday or going to work or going to see somebody, you leave and your destination is your final goal. Um, but the other form of traveling is whenever you're really just there for the journey.
Yeah.
So you're traveling for what's happened on the day, but longer journey. You're traveling day by day, and it's for the experience of the journey rather than the destination. And by the time you get to the destination, it's actually a bit of a disappointment because that's the end of the journey. It's the end of the fun.
Sure.
So I want to tie that in with the story.
There we
It's a
go.
bit more complicated.
I love it.
Still work, still working on it.
So, what are some other dreams and goals that you have? Is that kind of the main one you got going, or are there some others you want to mention?
Well, I'm 64 now, maybe 65, so we really should be looking at retiring, taking more time off. So we should be trying to get financially stabilized to be able to do that, to have some time off to enjoy what is it called, the third stage. I was reading that the first stage is when you're about 20, when you're learning what's going on. The second stage of life is whenever you're in your from 20s to 40s or 60s, you're bringing up your family and
Hmm.
trying to make some money. And apparently, when you're 60 plus, you should be the happiest stage because you should have lots of money and no responsibilities.
Yeah.
I don't know anybody that's actually succeeded in that stage yet, but it's always a dream to have that, to be able to have the time to spend doing what you want to do, having the money to be able to afford it, and the fitness, I suppose, to be able to to accomplish it as well.
Yeah. All three of those are really hard. It's like time,
Yeah,
fitness, and the money. A
yeah,
lot of people can get a couple of them, but to have all of them.
two out of three ain't bad, but it's not good enough really.
Hmm.
You need to have all three. Well, you don't really. I mean, you don't need money to have a good time. You do need time. You do need fitness.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. Okay, so retiring and taking more time off. If you were going to be able to fully retire, how much money would you need? Would it be a lump sum or would it be a monthly cash flow?
I was hoping you'd be able to tell me that. Who knows? Well, I suppose the dream is to have a monthly cash flow of reoccurring reoccurring payments that you don't have to work for, you know.
Yeah.
Um, maybe I'll sell it, make it, write a bestseller and be able to do that, but
Yeah.
that hasn't happened quite yet. Property is generally used to be anyway a good source of reoccurring interest, reoccurring income if you can get a good property that you can rent it out and
Yeah.
get a pension from it that way. Um,
I was gonna say, the property developers here in the US are some of the wealthiest business people around.
yeah, well, I think we've had a pretty good 10 years, haven't we, in the last while since
That's
uh,
true.
the crash. Property prices have shot up, you know. Um, yeah, it's a difficult one. I mean, I did put money into pensions throughout my life, and you get to this stage in the game, you look at some of the pensions you've been sold, and you realize you were conned, that you were pension guy, the pension seller made all the money. All you did was pay for his pension, you know.
I am so glad you said that because there are so many people who are like still 20, 25, 30, and really relying on those kind of retirement funds.
Yeah,
And I'm just like, you need to make a different plan or you're gonna
yeah.
get
I
screwed.
think they're generally a con. I mean, everybody looks after themselves, and those pension guys are looking after themselves. They're not really looking after you at all.
Yeah,
Um, I
yeah,
think you're better find a property that you can invest in and pay it off over the years. Rely on that. It's much safer. You're in charge of your own destiny then, rather than paying somebody to invest money in some fictitious plan, which is paying them 10% and you 2%. You know,
yep,
you're
yep.
a bit younger than me. You don't need to worry about those things just yet.
Oh no, I am I am younger, but my parents aren't well equipped for retirement. And I would like to both have the freedom in my life to enjoy time with them and have them enjoy their retirement with me. So
Yeah.
I'm on like a 10 to 15 year timeline of like that's when I would like to be pretty solid, which means taking on an inordinate amount of risk is basically what it means.
Well, risk can be fun as well
It is.
if it goes the right way.
Yeah, for sure.
Adrenaline's the best drug there is out there, you know.
Yep. Yep. No, absolutely. Okay, well, we got to finish the next book and retire and take some more time off, and ideally from a monthly cash flow number. Any other dreams or goals that you want to talk
Well,
about?
along that line, I mean, sometimes I got to Australia last year or this year, and I loved it. It was everything I sort of wanted it to be. It was nice, beautiful country, friendly people, and it got me thinking if I'd left Belfast 2 or 3 weeks earlier in '79, I would have got past Iran before the revolution kicked off, and I would have got there when I was 21, got a job, and it's interesting just to think how my life would have changed if that had happened. I would have
Yeah.
ended up living on the other side of the world, hopefully being successful, having a family there. But it's interesting to think back how it's a little thing that you did, like being late leaving. I should have left in September and I left in October because I didn't have enough money. If I hadn't gone out drinking so much and saved a bit more money, I would have got through in time, and who
Yeah.
knows what would have happened. You know, it's interesting looking back in your life and seeing the huge um, effect that something that's seemingly inconsequential will make in your life later on. You know,
Hmm.
so I'd like to spend more time somewhere like Australia and maybe like have another career out there if I can do something on a part-time basis.
Okay. Okay.
Obviously, travel is part of my world, and uh, did a little bit more, with a bit more comfort than I did when I was 21.
Yeah, I gotcha. There we go. So retiring, taking more time off, spending more time in Australia, and finishing that book. Sound good?
Yeah, sounds good. It's a plan. I better write it down.
Yeah, I got it for you right here. I wrote it down, so all good. What?
I've told you on air now. Now I have to do it.
Pretty much, pretty much. Just curious, Chris, what are the top 1 to 2 skills that you need to develop right now to make some of these dreams and goals come true?
Probably discipline myself. I need to discipline myself more since I've got back. I'm not working 9 to 5. I'm working when I want to work, which is usually 8 hours a day. But like everybody has to say, you get easily to be distracted with the internet age. There's so many distractions in front of you. You know, it used to be if you're trying to study or do something, you maybe have a book or something, maybe a newspaper catches your eye, whatever it is, TV. But now it's just everything's in front of you, everything's on the computer.
Yeah,
With whatever you want to know, is so many distractions. I need to discipline myself, I guess, and part of that is motivating myself to do it. Set goals and set myself goals to want to achieve every week. Break it down. I think if you say to yourself, I want to write a book, it's practically impossible to do it because it's such a huge undertaking. You don't realize it really until you start how big an undertaking it is. You don't write a book, you rewrite it, you rewrite it, you rewrite it, you keep going over it and over and over it, trying to get it right.
yeah,
So I need to break it down into smaller pieces and pieces that I can handle every day rather than saying I'm writing a book. It's just I'm going to write a page a day or a couple of pages a day to something that I can cope with in my tiny little brain that I can comprehend and do today. So that's the plan to get organized.
I gotcha. So setting some more goals and disciplining yourself.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Well, Chris, what are the highest impact daily actions that are going to tick the needle forward towards your dreams goals? So we know the goals you need to set. We know you need to discipline yourself, but what do those goals look like on a daily basis? What actions are you doing?
I think the way I think to do is remove yourself from the distractions, which is turn your Wi-Fi off basically,
Hmm.
and put yourself in a position that you're not that these distractions aren't too handy. That you have to make more of a direct movement to actually be distracted. Um, I mean, if the Facebook and these social medias have it's been pretty much accepted now that they've been designed to make you an addict of them. You know, they're designed to give you everything you want. There's a lot of psychology's gone into the layouts and what they provide. Um, so they are addictive, same as alcohol or anything else.
Yeah,
I think they're very dangerous, especially for children because children are totally unaware of what they're being sold to. They're being directed at. What the information that they're getting has been sourced by somebody to give to them, to put for whatever reason. So it's I think it's a matter of trying to, as I say, discipline myself.
yeah, I got you. So daily actions really looks like practical discipline, which is turning off that Wi-Fi, removing those distractions from your environment.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. Simple enough, you know. It's the same as any addiction. You remove the source, remove the bottle or whatever it is, and
Yeah,
it's a start, you know.
yeah. Well, what character trait do you most need to develop right now to make these dreams and goals come true?
Um, I think I have the character trait already. As I say, I'm a bit of a stubborn bugger, and I just need to bring that to the fore a bit more.
Yeah.
Just stick at it.
Okay. Okay. Bring out the stubbornness a bit more. And if there were one or two people that you could meet right now, and this could be a specific person or a type of person, and they'd really help you take that next step towards your dreams and goals, who would they be and how would they help you?
Well, the person's probably I'd really want to meet is myself 20 or 30 years ago,
Mm,
to sort of tell me where I've gone wrong and put me in the right direction. Some mistakes I've made, but obviously that's not possible. Um, I don't really know. I don't really have I look at that question. I don't really have a sort of a figure that I totally love to be. You know, I mean, you business people, Elon Musk and these guys, and you
yeah,
sort of think, would you aspire to be that guy? And really, I wouldn't aspire to be him at all. You know, and these a lot of the other successful people that you see on the face of it, they're brilliant at whatever they do, but you start digging behind them a wee bit and think, no, actually, I don't really like that guy. You know, I wouldn't really like to be him at all. You know,
yeah,
so um, everybody has their foibles,
I got you.
I
So,
guess. You know,
so primarily just you 20 to 30 years ago, point them in the right
yeah,
direction.
yeah. Can you organize that?
Nah, I cannot. One day, maybe. One day.
You turn water into wine first.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Well, cool, man. Now we're gonna jump into our thriving three, and the first question is, what's your favorite book, movie, or podcast? Pick one.
Probably the Blues Brothers movie.
Mm, I've never seen it.
Yeah, well, something to look forward to. Um, it's got good music in it. It's got humor in it. And it just shows that there's a central story that if you try hard enough and you're determined to what you want, you'll get it. You know, they do guys that get what they wanted in the end. They cause mayhem along the way, but it's a great movie.
Yeah, I got you. And what's one way you like to take care of yourself?
What's that?
What is one way you like to take care of yourself?
I suppose it has to be at this stage of my game. It has to be from a fitness point of view. I like to get to the gym, go swimming. I've always been a reasonable swimmer, and it's as you get older, you go running, you wreck your knees and your hips. If you go cycling, you get knocked off, and you don't bounce as well as you used to when you were 15 when you hit the tarmac. You know,
Yeah,
the swimming is a good sport for a gentlemen of a certain age.
yeah.
They always drown, I guess, but
I mean, not if you can stand in the water.
yeah, no, it's okay. So yeah,
Yeah.
but other than that, I'm Irish, so I like to have a couple of pints at the end of the week, and it's medicinally good for you too because it's a good way to wind down with your mates.
You said a couple pints on the weekends.
Yeah,
I got you. I
a
got
couple of
you.
pints of Guinness and talk over the week with your friends and make a few plans for next week and have a laugh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Good way to wind down.
Well, what is one action? Oh, this question is actually irrelevant to you. Usually I ask, what can you do to meet the person you want to meet? But I can't think of anything you can do to meet yourself from 20 to 30 years ago. Maybe journal and get into your, but you can't even
No,
discover some thoughts you had back then, but you're not going to meet.
so well, the nearest I got to it actually was writing the book because whenever I finished the journey in '81, I'd written a lot of notes, a lot of diaries and journal entries, and um, part of a manuscript, in fact. So it was interesting when I was 60, 62, reading my diaries from when I was 22,
Mm,
and seeing what I thought then and was motivated me, what my dreams were. So it was interesting to sort of go back into my head to a certain extent at that stage, and then write the book as a 21-year-old rather than as a 62-year-old, you know,
yeah.
um, which is a bit of a challenge. But I'm pretty childish generally, so it wasn't that much of a challenge really. I still think I'm about 30, you know.
Yeah.
Biggest shock in the morning is walking past a mirror.
Yeah.
Who the old guy is.
Yep. 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 I got you. I got you. Well, cool. Now we got our final series of questions, and I think you'll these can get a bit personal. So if you want to pass, you can say I pass, and that'll be cool. I think you'll
Okay.
be fine though. What is one limiting belief that continues to pop up in your life, if any?
I suppose the lack of confidence probably is um had myself from an early age. Um Pops up the odd time, not as much as you used to, but as you get older and wiser, you get more um confident in what your abilities, I guess. But probably lack of confidence generally
I got you.
something I think would come up.
And does it come from anywhere in particular, or is it just something that you have?
Well, who knows whether it's your upbringing. It's come from a family of four. I was number three. Whether you were left out of things, or whether you were younger at school, or you were, as I say, I wasn't a great achiever at school. I was very academic, so it was maybe not probably hindered my confidence there as well.
Yeah,
So who knows? It's one of those things you got it. You've either got it or you haven't.
yeah, I got you. And do you have any limiting actions that reinforce this limiting belief?
I don't think so anymore. I think I've probably forced myself to do things that I felt awkward about, and overridden my inner fears by driving myself over the obstacle that's in front of me.
Yeah.
Um, so even though you're not confident about it, you pretend you are.
Mhm.
I think it's probably a lot of people do that too. A lot of people that are very confident. People that look very confident are actually very shy, and a lot of people that come across very shy are actually very confident. But confidence is something that people can pretend, and you do hear people saying meet somebody who's they come across as very overconfident, but actually when you get talking to them, they'll actually admit that they're actually very shy.
Yeah. Yeah. We often compensate like it's just human nature.
Oh,
Compensate. It's like who we really are. We throw up a front of
yeah.
basically the exact opposite.
I mean, whenever I was in Dubai, I was developing apps, mobile apps. I started, I knew nothing about them at all. I would be going into meetings, and the guy would ask me, "Can you do this? Can you do that?" And I would say, "Yeah, I can do that. I can do that," and write down what it was. I had no idea what he was talking about,
Yep.
but the guy thought I was very confident and knew what I was doing. But as I said, I had no idea what it was until I looked it up online and said, "Well, I don't know if I can do that or not. We'll have to talk to somebody." There's no point in me saying I couldn't do that, because if I said that I couldn't do it, I wouldn't have got the job.
Yep.
At least by getting a job, I could then find out if I can do it or not. Seems like the wrong way to do it, but actually, it was the way the thing worked.
That's how a lot of entrepreneurs do this stuff. Yeah. Yeah. I love it. Well, cool. If you were to change the limiting belief of not enough confidence into an abundant phrase that really spoke to your heart in the way that you needed to hear it, what would that phrase be?
Just get off your ass and do it, I guess. Don't think about it, do it.
I got you.
Something like that.
There
I
we
think
go.
the more you think about things, the more you worry about them, the more you break them down, and all you're doing is giving yourself excuses not to do it. You start
Absolutely.
overthinking something. You don't think, well, I should do it for this positive reason or that positive reason. Your mind usually works, well, I shouldn't do it because I might hurt myself, or because I might lose my money, or because I might fall off, or look stupid, whatever. You always think of the bad things. So just get off your ass and do it.
There we go.
But don't
Well,
come to me and don't come back to me and complain if you fall and wreck yourself. There's no
yeah,
guarantees with it.
that's the beautiful thing about doing it though. It's like when you wreck yourself, there's something else that's clear that you need to do. And then you just need to
Yeah,
get up and go do that. Like if you
exactly.
continue the process of doing, the results tend to end up well. And by well, I mean unless it kills you, you're still living. And so you have an
Exactly.
opportunity to bounce back. And so keep on
You
getting
learn from your mistakes and do it again.
Exactly. And so much of entrepreneurship, I mean, money is basically fake anyway. Like 97% of money is debt. And
Yeah.
so it's like if 97% of everything you're like getting in the form of a loan from a bank or a personal loan or whatever it may be. You just got to go find the right relationships to get well funded for whatever idea you're going to go forward with. Even after bankruptcy, if you got a good enough personal relationship, you can launch another business.
Yeah.
Not highly recommended advice per se, but it's possible.
We always say the British say if you've gone bankrupt, you're a failure, but the Americans say if you haven't gone bankrupt, you haven't tried hard enough.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep, that is the American vibe there for
Yeah,
entrepreneurship. Yeah, so funny.
just right.
Well, cool, Chris. We got one last question for you. You ready?
Yep, hit me.
What is your favorite belief about yourself?
Um, I suppose I believe that I can do most things if I put my mind to it.
Hmm.
Um, can't say I can do anything if I put my mind to it because lots of things I fail to do, but uh, I do have a ability to get up and get at it again. As I said, we're talking about before, when I fall off, I do have an ability to get it back on the horse and do it again, and do it again, and do it again until I get there.
There we go.
Um, which I think's it's put me in good stead in the past and hopefully will in the future.
Yeah, I got you. Well, Chris, that's all we got for you, man. Thanks for coming on the show.
That wasn't too bad. Thanks very much. Nice
Yeah,
talking to you.
of course. Is there anything else you want to chat about before we sign off?
Yeah, I just wanted to sell my book. If anybody wants to buy a book about riding around the world in a motorbike and a coming of age story, it's called Going the Wrong Way. It's available on Amazon. And give myself a good. It's also available on my website, but Amazon's probably the best place because it's on Facebook. Or sorry, it's an ebook, audiobook, and paperback.
Yeah,
And it's got 1,000 reviews, 1,005-star reviews so far, so it's going pretty well. It's a good fun book.
there we go. Well, if you loved Chris, if you loved his vibe, loved what he had to say, make
There's my
sure.
plug.
Yeah, yeah. Make sure to check him out. Buy the book, give him a review, buy a copy for a friend, and send it to him. All the links to do so will be down in the show notes. Thank you guys so much for watching. We will see you on the next one. And on that note, we're out.